You might have seen at the end of one of our videos this week that Ball Street have got their own fantasy league, which you can join. I'm going to let you know how we do that at the end of the show. But I also said I was going to reveal my fantasy football team. That's right. James has got an opinion as well. It's not just Flav pissing about with his stupid trousers giving his opinion. I've got some knowledge to give you as well. I'm also going to give you some of the ABCs of fantasy football play. You've heard from Thierry Henry. You've heard from Matt Letizia. It's time you heard from the big dog James. We're doing it with Sky Fantasy Football this year, and it's a little bit different. You get 100 million and you've got to pick 11 players, so let's do this. Let's kick off with some knowledge right off the bat. I said I'd give you some ABCs. Let's start with A. Aguero, get him in your team. Everyone knows he's the best player in the Premier League. He scores loads of goals. Man City are going to probably ruin the league this year. They haven't got any other forwards. He's definitely going to play, and if he gets injured, you've got a load of moolah to spend on a different player, so just do it. Right, we've got Aguero in our team. You've made the right choice. You won't regret that one. Let's go back to the start. David De Gea is my pick in goal. Player of the year, 3 years on the trot. He got 122 points last year. 8 million, yeah, he's pricey, but you know he's going to get a lot of clean sheets this year with Man United being better. But more importantly, when the opposition do get through that line of defence, David De Gea makes saves. Moving into defence, Seamus Coleman I've gone for here. He's a staple of a lot of people's fantasy teams. Last year didn't do that well, only 74 points, but he loves to attack. Everton are going to be better this year. He often pops up with a few goals, so for me, seems like a smart buy. Now it starts to get a little bit interesting, because do you spend a load of money on your defence, or do you save it for your midfield and your attackers? What do you do? I'll tell you what you do. You do a bit of both. So for me, I'm going for a little gamble here. 8 million, costs a decent amount. Valencia of Man United. He's down as a defender on this one, which is a nice little trick when you get the old midfielders or attacking players that are going to play full-back. I think he's going to play right back for them. I think this could be a master stroke. You know what he does. He gets down the line with a little bit of pace, floats up across, and Ibrahimovic is going to eat it up. Assists, clean sheets, he's your boy. Next up, Lamine Kone. Sunderland, yeah I know, they're crap, but Everton fancy him. So this is a great one. You get a little bit of cash back. Get him in your team now before he goes for the transfer window. They've got rid of Stones, they've got Williams, but they're going to want another one, and they're linked with him. So I reckon they're going to get him, and he's a decent player. Finishing off the defence, ready, steady, Cook. Steve Cook from Bournemouth. 5.6 million. What do you think? I'm not made of money, and you've got to save a bit of money somewhere. He's a good value pick, likes a goal, 69 points last year, and I think Bournemouth are going to be better this year. It's the recipe for success. That's awful. So there's your goalkeeper in defence. A lot of information to take in. I'm going to let you have a little break by giving you an extra tip. It's time for B of the ABCs of fantasy football. How many Chelsea players are in that team?
0 Chelsea players.
Correct. Bias. That's the B of the ABCs. Have a bit of integrity. Tribalism, yeah, it works in fantasy football as well. If you're a QPR fan, find an enemy and don't pick their players. It's about principles. Right, let's talk midfielders, and one player who's going under the radar, but not for me, Christian Eriksen. He cost 10.7 million, so kind of expensive, but last year he had 13 assists, 157 points. He takes all the set pieces. He's a specialist in set pieces, and an important thing as well, he could start very well because he didn't play in the Euros with Denmark. They didn't make it, did they? I'm going big with my midfielders this year, and this next one is an absolute gem, an absolute fantasy hack, which we all love. Roberto Firmino, Liverpool striker? No, he's a midfielder in this game. Last year got 141 points and he was down as a striker. This year as a midfielder, it's going to be points. 10 goals and 7 assists last year. I reckon he could get more this year with a Jurgen Klopp side that's looking very exciting. Get him in your team. God, I'm good. Next up, it's a guy who's one of the big stories of the season, and this is a big call for a lot of people in their fantasy teams. Do you pick Payet or do you pick Özil? I've gone for Payet because he's 11 million, Özil's 11.6, and Payet was absolutely amazing last year. He will definitely be playing, he will definitely be taking the set pieces, he will definitely be getting a lot of assists, and he is the main man for West Ham, and I think that could be the difference, and he's going to have another good year. Next in midfield, it's time to save a bit of cash, but still get some points as well. And I've gone for Andros Townsend. The reason I've gone for him, 8.3 million, not too much money. Crystal Palace, they might struggle a bit, and you might think he's got a lot of competition for places, but actually, Balassi looks like he's on his way to Everton, so that means he's going to play. Last year at Newcastle, 12 games, 4 goals, 2 assists, so he did well when he was able to play games. I think he's the kind of player who, when he's the big fish in a small pond, does very well, and I think he'll get a lot of points by cutting in, smashing it in. Here's my next tip for you, capitalising on the wisdom of others.
Who are you gone for then, Nicky? Is there any decent ones?
I fancy Kevin De Bruyne to have a good season. get a few assists.
Good shout, yeah, he's good for that actually. Yeah. Didn't perform, he'd be decent price as well. Jed?
I've gone for Xhaka and Gerrard and Shaqiri.
Oh yeah?
They've both got X's in their name, so it's probably good.
I'll leave you to it.
Yeah, see you later.
A problem that a lot of people have with their fantasy team is that they get to the end of it and they've run out of cash. Where do you go when you need to get a player on a shoestring budget? Bournemouth. Everyone knows that. So that's where I've gone. Callum Wilson, not just because he plays for Bournemouth, but I think they're going to have a good year this year. And Callum Wilson started off last year red hot. Then he did his knee. Hopefully he's fine now. He scored 5 goals in 9 games, and at 10.2 million, he's one of the cheapest strikers that you're willing to go for. A lot of people are going for Andre Gray this year, but there's a lot of pressure on him to score goals. Callum Wilson scored goals last year, scored goals in the Championship, and I think he's going to score goals this year. As I said at the start of the video, there's a Bull Street League this year. We've got the link in the description and a code there. Put the code in and you can join the Bull Street League and take me on. I'm going to leave you with one final tip. As I said, it's the ABCs. There's a little S on the end there. So here's a final tip for you, beginning with S.
James, my captain smashed it this week, off to a flyer. Oh, someone had a stinker.